DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Metal Storm here. I have one of the members of Contrarian with me today. Hey, how's it going? And would you like to just introduce yourself and what position you do in the band?
My name is Jim Tasikas. I'm a guitarist in the band Contrarian. We are from Rochester, New York. We have existed longer than people think, since the 90s. We just released some demos and rarities that have existed for a long time, and it seems like it's going well and it's being received well.
Right on, man. And that leads us into the first question of the interview now. Please go back in the history of Contrarian and how the band all got started.
Okay. The band got started by Ed Paulson, the bassist, and myself. We started under the name Manic in the mid to late 90s. Back then, it was a lot harder to record. It was a lot harder to get your band exposure for your band. So we recorded some demos, and like many progressive death metal bands of the 90s, such as Atheist and Cynic, they put out an album and then took a hiatus because it was a fledgling scene, and the necessary craft competence of the musicians wasn't readily available, and it was a fledgling scene, so the support was building up. So it took time for it to catch up with what was going on in that specific genre.
Oh yeah, I didn't totally know that. I've actually been around since the 90s in the music scene. I'm actually a fan of stuff like death metal, brutal death metal, progressive death, tech death. I listen to grindcore, and I listen to some black metal too.
Awesome.
Yeah. The next one is, how did you guys come up with the band name Contrarian?
Came up with the band name specifically when we started releasing full albums under Willowtip Records. It was a combination of our personalities, ideologies, the kind of the style of the music as compared to what was going on at that time. So a combination of these things kind of formed together, and we went from there.
Right on, man. That's awesome. Just so you know, I actually might have known of you guys back under your old name for a little while, but I haven't heard the stuff in a while because I've been a music buff since back in the old days.
Yeah, man, we were putting out demos left and right. We started off as Manic, and then we did something under the name of Delirium Endeavor. But back then bands would kind of reinvent their names and kind of image in hopes of getting exposure.
I see what you're saying, man. Me, I actually have a band myself that I'm working on getting back going after an 18-year, almost 19-year hiatus.
Yeah, man, keep the faith. Never give up.
I'm actually a death metal vocalist myself, and to prove it,
there you go.
I'm into the old stuff like Deicide, Broken Hope, Cannibal Corpse, Barnes era, and the Fish era. And I'm also into stuff like Malevolent Creation, Malignancy, Mortician, Dying Fetus. I'm all over the place with my death metal influences.
Gotta be. You gotta. Variety is the spice of life, they say. So keep it all coming from all subgenres, all angles.
Yeah, and you know what? Another cool thing is that I don't share with many people. Do you know who Kevin Sharp is? Ex Brutal Truth.
Yes, I know exactly who that is. Even we have another guitarist here from Rochester named Eric Burke who played with them for a while.
Oh, awesome, man. Just so you know, I actually interviewed Kevin in regards to his project Venomous Concept.
Yeah, that's a funny that you mentioned that. I think when I look at some social media stuff like iTunes or Spotify, Venomous Concept is one of the bands that comes up as people also listen to this.
That's cool, man. I actually had a 33-minute talk with him back when I was at another station before the one I'm doing right now. And I'd also like to thank you in this interview for the time over at Mangled Music Radio and Craig's Metal Storm today.
Sweet.
What?
Yeah, it's people like you that people don't realize, these guys like you that do reviews and interviews and articles. It really goes a long way to getting pushing the music out there, getting dialogue going between fans and all of it.
I understand you there, man. Just so you know, this next one is a really good one that I asked the bands. Who's all in the current Contrarian band lineup and what instruments do they play?
All right. Currently, it is myself, Brian Mason on guitars, Ed Paulson on bass, Alex Cohen on drums, and our vocalist right now is a guy by the name of Jacob Sin. He goes by Jacob Sin. That's his stage name. We also have live musicians that play with us. Excuse me. We have Jack Eaton, who did some live shows with us, and we had Bill Bodley that did some live shows with us.
Right on. Who designed the Contrarian band logo?
The logo was designed by a friend of mine here named Dave. He's a graphic designer here in Rochester, and he put that together for us. He did a great job.
Right on. I thought that logo was absolutely sick and amazing myself. I love how it's designed and everything. It looks so cool, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Just curious, how long have you had that same logo for? Or was it one logo for the older stuff and then you switch logos to the newer stuff? I'm just curious.
We had that logo since about 2011, 2012. So that's about going a little over a decade now.
Nice, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into talking about that album you mentioned earlier, and I'm going to abbreviate it for the interview. How did you guys come up with the album Demos and Oddities, and how did that come about? It consists of the years 1995 to 1999. Hopefully I got the right years on that.
Well, we've had that material. And by the way, when we released this material, we did not remaster it or mess with it. It's just raw 1990s recording, demo. It's basically, demo quality. At first, we were very skeptical about releasing it, almost reluctant, because we're like, oh man, we're gonna get judged on this. It's raw, it's primitive, it's it's going 25 years old. So we're like, do we do it? And then we decided, yes, let's do it. Specifically because a lot of times when people listen to Contrarian, they're like, man, this sounds like 90s progressive death metal, but like not a ripoff. It sounds like legit. It sounds like it's from them. And it does sound like it's from them because we are from them. We are, ultimately a 90s progressive death metal band. So I thought it would be a good idea, especially for young musicians starting out. And, the craft competence in this genre has gotten so high that, like we said before, you should never give up hope. Keep going, build up your craft, your skill, and keep at it. We were doing it in the 90s, and no one gave a shit about us. We'd submit the demos. They'd be like, no. They kept on making music, and finally, in the mid 2000s, 2010, it started moving for us. So, and we got some great reviews and great fans, and it's fun stuff.
Right on, man. And just so you know, I've actually had fun with my project. We did 2 shows back in the 2000s, one on 666 night. Then we did another one, I think 2 months later. Then my band went on hiatus because my guitarist decided to leave the band. I've been looking for new members since. But I think I've got the final lineup solidified and back, ready to go. My girlfriend, who just came in and sitting here in the background while I'm talking to you, actually is the backing vocalist for my band.
Awesome, man. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, yeah. Like that's it's metal is you go to a show and um, everyone's got their own band. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. And then that's great.
Yeah, I had fun doing it back in the day. I miss doing it, man. I really do.
Yeah, man, that's cool. It could be really fun. It's hard though. People don't realize it's hard work.
Yep. Just so you know, before I get into the one next question, I'll let you know I jammed the album before the interview, the 95 to 99 Demos and Oddities album, and I think it's absolutely sick and amazing. It's got a very excellent sound for back in that day, and I'm very picky about what I like.
All right.
This next one is good. Who was the artist used to design the Demos and Oddities album art?
Um, you know, it was a kid on Instagram. They contacted me and he's like, I like the concept of your art, and his oh man, I want to punch myself right now. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I don't have it in front of me to search it. If I could go on my phone, I could figure it out. But I'll if I remember, I will. And you post this on YouTube, I will definitely post a link to his stuff because he's got some really cool stuff.
Okay, that's all good, man. Sometimes we forget something that's important during what we're doing, but it happens. I've forgotten things that I wanted to ask the bands myself. And then I get out of the interview, it's like, oh shoot, was I going to ask that? I still had time for it.
I should know. I should know the artist's name. That is horrible of me not to know. But that's why once you post this on YouTube, I will definitely make up for my absent-mindedness and get that on there.
Okay. Just so you know, this next couple is good. It's about two of the songs off the album, and that I wanted to ask you personal favorites of mine. How did you come up with the musical compositions for the songs Sine Wave Trails, and the song Infinite Derivatives?
So during this time, I was studying a lot of. I was in school and I was studying a lot of math and engineering courses. And a sine wave is a mathematical concept, and a derivative is also a mathematical concept. And they were just in my brain, and somehow quite bizarre actually, but between partying all the time and having fun, and at the same time constantly doing and studying these engineering mathematics type courses, somehow my songwriting artistic content fused with these concepts, and that's where it ended.
Right on. Just so you know, this next one is a really good one. Sometimes gets the bands thinking a little bit. What are the band's immediate music career goals?
So we have released a really solid, at least in my opinion, solid discography over the past decade. We have 5 solid albums out. We've done touring with Suffocation, with Atheist. We did one tour with them. We did a small tour with Narcotic Wasteland, Dallas from Nile. We did a couple of shows with Mastodon, Beyond Creation, Hate Eternal. So we got a solid kind of resume as far as shows and tours. So the one thing we haven't done is tour Europe. So I think that is on our bucket lists. We want to accomplish that, get to our fans out there, and that would be I think that would be really amazing, really cool.
Right on, man. Just so you know, if you guys do get a chance to, I hope you come up here to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, where I live, for a show.
Oh man, that'd be nuts. We've done Toronto, Montreal, Quebec. We played those towns, those cities, but no, we haven't gone anywhere on the West Coast in Canada. Or Central. That'd be sick.
Right on, man. Also, so you know, I actually 4 months ago, I think it was, for the station I'm at, that was previous to this one, like just before I switched stations and went on a bit of a break, I actually interviewed Dallas from Narcotic Wasteland.
Yeah, he's awesome, isn't he?
Yeah, he was cool down to earth. We got a 45-minute interview, me and him.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, he's a really really good guitarist, man. He is very technically proficient, and he was very gracious, kind, helping when we were on tour with them. And it was Narcotic Wasteland, us, and Pathology.
Pathology, you said?
Pathology, yeah.
I love those guys. I've actually been a fan of them since the song Code Injection with Matty Way on vocals.
Oh god, yeah, they're brutal, man.
Oh yeah, they're sick. Love them.
Yeah.
Just so you know, on this next one, this might get you thinking a bit about the influences for the band. Who are the band's musical influences?
The band's most direct influences are all over the map, really. They're basically a fusion of 80s and 90s progressive metal, which would be anywhere from Fates Warning, Queensryche, Ladder, Iron Maiden, uh, King Diamond, these type of more proggy metal bands of the 80s and 90s. It also involves jazz, prog jazz fusion artists like Al Di Meola, Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra. Those are influences. Then your prog rock influences like Rush. Uh, that's a influence. And then you get into the earlier, the slightly earlier progressive death metal bands such as Atheist and Death and Cynic, Confessor. Wow, there's so many. Watchtower. These type of bands as well.
Confessor, I have heard of. I think I might have originally back in the early 2000s or 89, no, 98 or 99, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Like one of their albums. And it got stolen from me at a party I had in my house.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, so I got to hunt for a new copy at some point.
Yeah, there's an album, Condemned, the name of the album. It's so unique. It's an amazing album.
I think that's the one I had the original of. I don't remember though. It's so long ago.
Yeah,
Shit,
I know.
Is there? I was going to ask you if it's okay with it. Were you going to say anything there? I was just wondering.
No. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. This next one, a really good one. Is there plans in the foreseeable future for a new Contrarian album after this one?
Well, we did just release an album in June of 2023, Sage of Shekinah, and then we released the demos. We released Sage in March, and then we just released these demos in July 28th. So, right in the near future, no. But touring is our in 2024. I say touring is our main goal.
I understand there, man. You got to get out and promote this album. I know how that feels.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. With the album demos and all these coming out on July 28th for Contrarian, where can the album be ordered?
We didn't do any physical copies of these demos, and because it's not a proper album. It's just a compilation of demos and some weird recordings we did in the mid to late 90s, and we just wanted to kind of put it out there and have our fans. We did have requests. People knew. Some of the more diehard fans knew about it, and I had gotten like a half a dozen emails saying, "Hey, bro, where can I get your demos from the 90s? I really want to get these collector types. They collect demo tapes and demo CDs, and they really wanted to get their hands on it. And I'm like, guys, there's no really tangible thing that I could put out. So we decided with Ed, let's get some nice artwork. Let's get a compilation of these demos and recordings, and you can get it. You can get them on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon, all of them. It's all on. We didn't put it on Bandcamp because we didn't really want to sell it. Um, so we just put it on all the streaming services for the most part.
Okay, I guess, yeah, man, that's cool.
Yeah.
Damn it, lost my place in the question. Would you mind talking about the song Libertarian Manifesto and how it was perceived when it was released in the Zero Tolerance audio, like for Zero Tolerance audio in the Zero Tolerance magazine issue number 59, if you remember that one?
Oh yeah, and Zero Tolerance, yeah. So that was the first single off our original EP, Predestined, and a lot of people thought it had political ramifications because it said libertarian in it, but it was more of a philosophical and theological premise behind the lyrics and the songs. And on that album, that first album, it was Leon Macy that did some guest solos, and he's in a band called Mithras. And it's a cool song. We have a really kind of a goofy video that goes with it. So we had some fun with it. If you Google it, if you go on YouTube and type the name, there's a video. You can see us on there being goofballs. So we had fun with that. That song was one of the first songs we wrote as Contrarian.
Right on, man. And just so you know, if you've got any of these, do you have any social media outlets, networks the band can be reached on?
Does Contrarian have social media networks? Are you asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have everything. We have Contrarian on Facebook. We have Contrarian on Instagram. We have Contrarian on Twitter or whatever it's called now. We have Contrarian on YouTube. We have Contrarian on TikTok. We have the whole gambit, the whole thing.
That's interesting to know and awesome, man. Would you mind getting some guitar tips or advice for starting out guitarists?
For guitarists starting out, I would say there's two things. I tend to tell people, get the basics, but then try to self-teach yourself. If you self-teach yourself on guitar, you're more likely to develop your own unique style. So take a few lessons to learn the basic structure and the basic physical skills that you would need to practice. Get those under your belt, and then try to learn things on your own. You will develop your own technique, your own style, really, is the first thing. And then as you progress in practicing and move forward, you're going to have to decide what type of guitarist do you want to be. Do you want to be a songwriting guitarist, or do you want to be kind of more of a soloist? So there's lots of paths you can take playing guitar. Those are just a few of them.
Right on. That's so awesome, man. We got 4 more for the interview, and I'll need a couple of station IDs from you.
Okay.
What advice do you have for people wanting to form their own bands?
If you're going to form a band, specifically a death metal band, and more specifically a progressive death metal band, it's a labor of love. Don't expect to be famous. Don't expect to be acknowledged. Just do it because you like it, and if you do it that way, you're more likely to be recognized than if you are plotting and scheming to make your band the greatest in the world. Really just concentrate on being authentic and honest in your songwriting. Doesn't matter if it's super technical. Doesn't matter if it's not technical at all. That would be my recommendation. And the followers will come. They'll come slowly. It's a slow process, but if you are really into it, you will get gratification and be happy that you did it. So that would be my advice.
Right on, man. And before we get into the last 3 questions, just so you know, I've been doing my vocals since I was 16. I have a little trick I use for myself. I practice my vocals almost borderline laryngitis, almost throw my voice out. I rest up for a couple weeks and go back at it again. I'm gonna do one of my. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do one of my other ranges that I've been working on, so you can hear it.
You really got it. Sounds like almost you puked at the end of that, you know? I like it, man.
I know that's a tricky one, but it's my mid range. That's a little bit like Black Funeral from the old Vampire Sort of the Beast album, which I used to have a copy of. I don't know if I still have it anymore, from 1995.
That's nuts, man.
I was learning black metal vocals to that one.
Yeah, I go weird with it. Always go all over the place with it, man. I like it.
Yeah, took me a while to get the hang of some of these ranges, but I'm getting back into it now, and I feel good about it.
Good.
And now for the
Good.
third,
Yeah, sorry, there was a little bit of lag there. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man.
okay, happens sometimes. This technology can be a headache at times with the connections and everything, but we're having a good time. I'm enjoying talking to you, and you're doing well in this interview, Jim.
Thanks.
And now that
Thanks. I
leaves us with
appreciate it, man. I appreciate you having me on, and anything helps to spread the word. I really appreciate it.
okay, that leaves us with the third last question. I think it would be right now. What are some of your favorite moments when in the studio?
Oh, the studio's a lot of fun. The studio is you just get to be creative. You're finally getting to the point where you can record what you've been working hard to create. So it's really, for me, the studio is really the climax of the experience. Some people think touring is. I can give you some horror stories from touring. Touring's tough, man. But for me, at least, um, the studio is where it's at.
Okay, and that's going to get you laughing on this next one. What are some of your favorite moments when on tour?
um, one, this is a funny story. We were playing in Louisville, Kentucky. Beautiful, 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 beautiful day. No humidity. It was like 74. It was like one of those days, like those perfect days. It wasn't hot. The venue was awesome. The people were being totally cool, asking questions about the band. We got on stage and we sounded awesome. The sound check was great. We got through the first song. Then we got to the second song, and the touring bassist at that time, Jack Eaton, we were having fun. We were moving around on stage, and the poor guy, we had to put my amp head on the floor towards the stage left. And he was moving around a little bit, and he just, in a total coincidence, happened to step kick back onto my input cable. And in the middle of the song, my guitar just went dead. So I had, I was done. Luckily, I had a spare amp in the in the bus, in the trailer, excuse me, of the bus, and so the guys in the other bands like Suffocation and actually the guys from Surreption, the bassist looked at me and he's like, "Oh boy, you noticed first." I'm like, and he came over to the stage, rushed to the front of the stage and said, "What can I do? What can I do for you?" And I said, "Go get the other amp. There's another Marshall amp in the trailer." So the guy ran out, brought it back, brought it to me. I had to set up. In the meantime, while I was setting up, the one song ended, so we couldn't do anything. And then the drummer was like, "I'll do a drum solo." So we had to do improvise, and Alex did a drum solo, which actually became part of our set for the last part of the tour because people liked it so much. And I plugged in the amp and got everything going, but there was something wrong with that amp too. So I couldn't really get the distortion that I needed. So it sounded like I was playing a twangy banjo on stage, and it was horrifying. But people said we sounded awesome, and I'm just like, what? And we laugh about it because someone actually went to the length of recording that full show, and we were laughing about it because we're like, oh my god, the one show we didn't want recorded is the one that got recorded, right? So, and if you go, I think it's Louisville, Kentucky Contrarian. If you go around the second song, you'll see like us fussing around on stage as my amp got destroyed by Jack. I still tease him about it till this day.
Shit, man, that must have been a rough time right there. Holy crap! Bad luck when it happens. I actually was on stage doing my show one time. I had the mic about that far away from my mouth doing a high grindcore style shriek. I blew the PA speaker out because the guy didn't have the actual meter set up right to handle the loudness of that shriek. So the PA speaker went punked right on stage. They still haven't fixed the PA speaker in that venue properly to this day.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy shit that happens. Yeah.
Those are with two more. I'm adding one to the question to interview, and then we're gonna add. It's the last question. What was the question? Just trying to think of the question because I remember it, but I don't have it written in my repertoire of questions.
I'm ready.
Shoot, I can't remember, so just go on to the last question. What new band news do you have on the Contrarian front, as in anything we haven't covered so far in this interview?
There are a couple things. I'm releasing a solo album called under my name. It's more like clean guitar, jazzy ambient music. It's called Escaping Depravity. It's going to be entitled. That will be released within the year. And again, it's not metal. It's more jazzy ambient music, but it's all guitar and drum bass, so people will dig it. The other thing is we have some irons in the fire as far as upcoming tours. We are on Continental touring right now on their roster, so there's a lot of opportunities coming our way. So keep your eye on our social media. We'll have some good news soon.
Right on. Before we get to say these, I just want to let you know, I think a friend's band just got signed to the same touring booking company as you are. Do you know a band called Blood of Angels?
A band called Blood of Angels?
Yeah.
No. Unfortunately, I do not. I feel like I've seen it, but I'm not sure.
I'm actually friends with Aaron from that band on Facebook. Me and him talk. He told me he was on the booking agency for Deicide and all of them.
Killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are they going on tour with Deicide or?
I don't know. I haven't found out the information on the tours yet. I'm getting to interview them on the Saturday of this week.
Awesome. Well, that's cool as hell.
Yeah. All right. Now we're gonna get the station IDs from you. The first one is, hey, this is Jim of Contrarian, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Hey, this is Jim from Contrarian, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Thank you for that station ID, man. And the second one's for my personal show, Craig's Metal Storm. You can come up with whatever you want in that one.
Hey, guys, this is Jim from Contrarian. You're listening to Craig's. Oh, shit, I forgot the name of it. Say it one more time, bro.
Craig's Metal Storm.
Storm, that's what it is. Craig's Metal Storm. All right, here I go. Hey, this is Jim from Contrarian. You're listening to Craig's Metal Storm.
Cool. Thank you very much for your interview, and thank you very much for your time today, man. I had a great time talking to you, and we'll set up another interview in the near future when you have a new material that's coming out again when you have time.
Okay, man. I had a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Okay. You're welcome. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully when you're on tour, my promoter up here can get you guys booked in for a show if you come to Canada.
Cool, man. That's killer. Thanks. I appreciate everything. Thanks again, okay?
All right. You have yourself a wonderful day. Bye.
Okay. Yeah, bye-bye.